Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly wrap up. This is Councilwoman Jamie Torres, where we do our weekly wrap up, giving you the most information about what's happening in City Council and the city this week. And I'm joined by Tran Willis. Thank you so much for being here, Tran.
Hi, Councilwoman Torres. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. For folks who don't know who you are, give us a little bit of your background.
Yeah, so obviously I currently work right now as the Deputy Outreach Director for the Mayor's Office, but background, I have over, 20 years of not just being a small business owner, but also an organizer. I own one of the first non-toxic nail salons in the country. And with that was not just being a nail salon, we were also, I guess, the word back then when we didn't have it yet was a social justice brand. So as a brand, we were fighting for fair wages, down to even how, even predatory practices of being a nail salon owner, and teaching worker rights for our employees as well. So many years of organizing community, and also a big part of the Asian community too, just making sure that our voices are at the table and making sure that we're amplifying our own communities. We live, sometimes in the Asian community, it can be very siloed, and that's something I am trying to support more of our community on when we also have issues when it comes to even just right now, food insecurity, isolation. Those are many things that are happening in our own community as well.
Amazing. And folks might remember there's a lot of activation around South Federal, and Tran is one of our key partners in working on establishing maybe Little Saigon as a cultural district. Yeah. So thank you for all of your hard work in helping us get there.
And
but
thank
today
you for being a partner in it as well, because we are getting closer and closer to being an actual, because we've been calling it Little Saigon since, the 1960s, 70s. So now it's going to be official, and it's just this exciting thing for District 3 in general.
I think it is too. I love that dynamic of this district, and the history that it brings with our real and visual and visible cultural diversity. One of the things that we've been interacting this week on, though, is the SNAP announcement. So our the food resources that come for families. Nearly 100,000 families in Denver receive SNAP benefits. That's supplemental. Remind me the acronym. Do you know?
Why am I can't super? I can't remember right now either.
SNAP, formerly food stamps, right?
Yes.
Like small provisions to families who qualify. It might be low-income families, people with disabilities, seniors typically tend to be the SNAP recipients. And Council District 3 has the largest proportion in the city. We have 21% of all SNAP recipients live in District 3. And we know this also because we're a food desert. We have few grocery stores. We have a lot of nonprofits who are trying to meet that need. And so with the federal shutdown and SNAP benefits being shut off or not coming through November 1st, I know that the city has been quickly strategizing on how to help fill those gaps that exist and coordinate people that want to help. So I wanted to see if you would help us understand kind of what the city is putting forward.
Over pretty much the last couple of weeks, we have actually been meeting, and with the support of obviously our amazing agencies, DHS and DDPHE and HRCP and Denver Parks and Rec, we've come together listening to these amazing pantries who are doing this work and leading this work right now, who have been already feeling already overwhelmed since COVID, right? That hasn't changed. And so now, even today, having the SNAP benefits go away, we are now dealing with a real crisis, and I know that people are scared and really, and also at the same time feeling like they need to help as well at the same time. And so the city listening to these pantries, we are listening how the gaps are not, this not having these SNAP benefits, we're not going to really that gap will not be filled. But what we can do now is fill where we see in our community needs. And so the first thing we know in your district, Councilwoman, it's 21%. And then we know the second district, and I just want to say, like, all the districts obviously have the needs, but there are really a few districts that have so much more SNAP recipients that we are trying to make sure that it is an equitable process. So that has been a priority and process for us as well. But right now, the first thing we were thinking about was obviously we needed a central hub. And so our amazing comms team, along with DHS and DPHE and our tech services, have put together an amazing website where you can literally go on there and, click on the button that says, I need food. I want to donate, and I am a food pantry. We wanted to make it as easy as possible when people are looking for any kind of support or want to help. So that was something we did in like 48 hours, if that. We wanted to make sure that information was right away, because right now I think what's happening is everyone wants to help, but there's so much information out there.
Yeah,
and
it's hard to know.
It's hard to know and find, and is it accurate? Is hours updated? Is this what a pantry really needs? And my suggestion always is, if you have an amazing local pantry or a school that has a pantry, call them first and make sure they need anything. Because I think what's going to happen, they either will just get overwhelmed with things, or they might get things they don't need, right? So to call first is my first suggestion. Is like, if it just needs money, if they need cash, if gift cards, maybe they need more rice or beans. Or
that's a really good point. One of the things we've been in touch with the food organizations in District 3, and some really like the coordination that they get with Food Bank of the Rockies. Others really want more direct support themselves. So we're going to be sharing how you can donate, because maybe you live by servicios and you want to give directly to servicios. Maybe you live by Revision and you want to give directly to them. But then there's others who are like, what's a way to help the whole city? And that might be Food Bank of the Rockies, right? One of the things that I know that you're doing is like a drop-off location. What is that looking like?
So we are working with that. We will also be working with Food Bank of the Rockies, as well as our smaller pantries as well. So we are figuring out right now the most need, obviously what pantries are going to need the most things. So we're figuring out that plan right now, but it will be we will have, something we wanted, eventually this might grow into something else, but for right now, this is just the temporary pressure relief to put on our pantries that are getting really overwhelmed right now, to help them make sure that we're getting food in every district. So we are doing one rec center in each district. Obviously, we have one in District 3 at Rudy. And what's going to happen there is we are asking for very specific items for each location. And what will happen there is either we find, after we have this meeting with our pantries next week, we'll see what the most need is and which pantries will be able to take on that food and make sure it's distributed to the right local ones. And I know we talked about a little bit, like Southwest has been, amazing at already, doing whatever and stepping up. And we know in District 3, we, would work with Southwest to get that food to them quicker so they can distribute to other local pantries as well. And again, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We are trying to work in a system where we can actually help get food so they're not being overwhelmed. And the other gap was, we know that a lot of pantries aren't open all day. Some are open only 4 to 5 hours. We were also trying to fill the gap with people who want to drop off things. And we know that rec centers are open longer. So I'm on my way home. I pick up groceries. I'm going to pick up an extra bag of things, and then I'm going to go drop it off at the designated rec center. And so that was a need. People were like, well, I want to go and drop stuff off, but I can't because I'm working, right? So we are trying to fill that gap also as a rec center, right? A rec center is where people go a lot for a lot of these resources. So just making another option at the rec centers. But, we are making a list, and as soon as we know, we're hoping to activate these boxes, as soon as early as next week, after we talk to our pantries of which ones we'll be distributing. And if there isn't one, we also have our Give 5 volunteers that we work with. That's the First Lady's initiative. We're giving 5 hours a month as a volunteer. And so we will also be activating our Give 5 volunteers to also help with this, so that we are not putting a lot of pressure not only on the pantries or the food banks or even our rec center staff. So we're trying to really find ways where we can really plug in a lot of the existing systems and programs we already have.
I love it.
So that's something that we are working on right now, but hopefully we'll have those boxes out so that people, but for now, like if you want to hold your own drive at home or for your school or your, work, do it, because regardless, food is going to be needed.
Yeah.
And then make that drive, go drop them off at a pantry, and if you can't, drop it off the rec center. So you have many options to drop off food and quickly, because we have to get it in the hands as soon as possible to a lot of these families, because once they go away on the weekend, a lot of people will not have food at night and the weekends.
Yeah.
These kids rely on their lunch. Yeah.
Rudy Rec Center is District 3's drop-off location. Do you know when the box will be there for, or when they'll be prepared to accept drop-off items?
We are hoping by Monday morning to get them.
So starting Monday. And then you have a great website, so denvergov.org/food, which we will link to this video, and we'll put it in our social media newsletter. But the items, if you want to drop off, ready to eat items, canned items, shelf stable, infant food and formula and diapers, new hygiene products, reusable bags. This came up as well. I know for our shelter orgs, they need reusable bags and boxes. So Tran, I think this is a really great way to start this conversation for folks, because I know our entire community is just so generous, and they want to figure out what's an accessible way for me to contribute or to help. So denvergov.org/food is a good landing page and starting point. But you may already know of a pantry in your community. Help them, right? And we are staying connected to all of them to find out what they need on a weekly basis as well. But it's unfortunate this is happening. It doesn't have to be this way. The federal government has reserves they could be releasing, but they're not. But I know that our community will step up in the way that it always does.
Yeah, and I don't want to forget our fur family.
Yes.
So that's also another. We don't want someone to have to choose between feeding their kid or their self over their pet. So make sure we also have the Denver Animal Shelter, who's also accepting donations, and they also have an Amazon wish list. If you want to, contribute. They're open Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 4:30, Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 11 to 6:30, and then Tuesday, Thursday from 12:30 to 6:30. So all that, again, everything right now lives on the denvergov/food site. This information is on there as well. But eventually as well, we'll also start compiling a list of restaurants who are feeding a lot of these families, and we want to make sure they're recognized and also connect with a lot of these SNAP recipients and families who might want to look for a restaurant. So that's also something I'm trying to work behind the scenes, and I hope to have that list next week as well.
Amazing. Tran, thank you for all your hard work. This has been one of the priority things that's happening in the city this week. It's going to affect our families all month. But I'll be back next week to share a little bit more about what's happening with our budget. City Council will be submitting budget amendments on Monday. And then the following Monday will be our final vote from City Council side. So it'll be a busy couple of weeks, but thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye.